All right, welcome back. Where we left off with basically converting with presentations, the informal and the formal. And like I said, from there, it's just a matter of realizing that this is a strategy and not a one-time event. The open house strategy means that each event that you hold, that one time a month, that particular home that you're opening and holding open is your office. And so if it's going to be your office, you want to give the right kind of presentation in your office and even the office itself so that it gets as much traffic as possible. You have to do something that other people aren't doing. Well, in order for it to be your office, you have to do certain things to get people in the office. You want to drive traffic. Every campaign is about driving traffic. How do we drive traffic to the event? How do we drive traffic to the web page? How do we drive traffic to our landing pages? How do we drive traffic into our store, into our office? We want to know how we're going to drive traffic. That's the main thing about marketing. What different ideas do we have about driving traffic? And when it comes to listings, there are many, many good tools out there. But if you're going to do a listing, if you're trying to get listing leads, listing clients, then one of the best things you can do, as I mentioned before, is have an open house. But you want to do the open house the right way. And the right way to do it is to have the right type of tools to make sure you're getting the bang for the buck. When it comes to presenting your office, here's some tools you can put out there. There's a sign here that says free CMA today. What's your current home worth? You know, you look at this current home sign, and it basically gives people the idea that if you put this in the front yard and they're driving by before the actual open house starts, they're probably wondering, what is my home worth? So it's a great idea to have that out there prior to the open house, and then people who decide or are making a decision about coming, instead of thinking of them as nosy neighbors, you might want to think of them as future clients. I think that's where people get a little confused with some of the lingo that's used in the real estate industry, the water cooler talk where people are saying little things like nosy neighbors. And I mean, I've had people start talking and the first thing that comes to their mind is something they heard. Didn't put any thought to what was being said into what their response was. It's just, they just recalled something that they heard and regurgitated it. And so you hear it and you just kind of go, yeah, are you thinking about business? Because if you're not thinking about business, then real estate is going to be really awkward for you. If you are the kind of person who needs a W-2, or if you've seen the folks who need those kind of W-2 type mentalities where everything has to be kind of given to them or they won't make a single step, real estate is going to be really difficult. So you got to be thinking outside the box. What does it actually mean to have a neighbor come into an open house? They're not being nosy. Even if that's the reason why they showed up, there's an opportunity for you to solve a problem. If they're walking around looking at homes, maybe they're looking for a friend. Maybe they're thinking about moving out of the one they're in because they're not so happy with it. There's many reasons. Maybe they're leaving the state in a couple of months and just kind of want to get an idea before they leave. If maybe your open house is a kind of event that would entice other people, so they're stopping by and kind of interviewing you. There's many reasons why they could be looking at these homes. You can't make any assumptions, and you got to go in there with the right attitude. And this is your office. How do you present yourself? Well, first off, these open house signs have to be different. Now, I learned this technique from the open house signs, and like I said, my checklist is now a page and a half long. And originally, it was about a third of the page. So I've talked to a lot of gurus who do open houses, and now my checklist is probably the most robust that is out there, simply because I take strategies, and everyone who listens to me about some of my strategies, I share some of they share theirs, I share mine, and now my toolkit's a little bigger, so is theirs. That's the whole trick to creating more and more success in this business. And this is the open house sign that I learned from my brothers up at Paperless Agent. These guys talk about putting on really good open houses, but one of the main things I learned from them was that the signs have to have the time and the day on there. Have to. And then if you make them a little different, they stand out over everybody else's signs. Well, as you can tell, this sign will stand out over every sign in the neighborhood. So you have open house Saturday from 1 to 4. Yes, I truly believe you should be holding open houses at the same time every month, same day. Why? Because people start to recognize this as you and your territory. You're branding yourself. you're the person who does open houses on Saturday from 1 to 4. Now, there's a little evidence that Sundays might be a little better, but not by much. So it isn't going to really matter whether you pick Saturday or Sunday. Pick the one you like. If you have some way of changing out the days on your signs, that's great. Maybe you can put like a flap on there. If you're really high speed, that with Velcro, you flip it on one side, it says Saturday. Flip it on the other, it says Sunday. I'm not that high speed. I just put one day and then the same time every single time I do one. So I've decided Sundays from 1 to 4 a little better. So now my signs say Sunday. But that's the key. Why do you put the signs out there this way? Pretty simple. Think of a movie trailer. You need to know when that movie is going to occur so you can plan around it. If someone were to come up to you at 12 o'clock noon today and tell you that the movie starts at 1, there's no way in the world you're going to make it. But this is how most people do open houses. They hope and pray that someone who's an open house hunter just happens to be driving around that day and they can see their signs. Does it happen? Absolutely. And if you have a home that's in the perfect spot, then you're going to get 3 people to show up. And that's a great open house, maybe 5. But if you use my techniques and you have that perfect scenario, that perfect storm, over 50 people show up. That's the difference. So when you think about it, get the preview out there ahead of time. Then you get all of those same people who would typically be out just looking for homes. Now you got the people who aren't looking but are now planning to be there because it's an open house movie preview. They see your signage 2 or 3 days ahead of the event, and then guess what else they see? Those same nosy neighbors you were talking about are now getting these flyers in their door jamb, right between the doorknob and the frame. You just roll them up and let the paper expand so that they stick between the doorknob and the frame. And you put the outside so they can see the pictures when the flyer falls out of the door or when they walk up to get it. But you got to understand what is going on here. When I like to put my psychology degree to work here. It says invite your friends to be your neighbors. Well, that's what nosy neighbors would love to do. That's the problem. If they're going to have a house that's held open, maybe they have friends or family members who they wouldn't mind moving in the neighborhood. And so maybe they take a look at it, find out it's a pretty decent price, and then they let their friends or family know, and all of a sudden they're looking for homes for their friends and family. We've literally picked up clients because their family members were looking for homes for them before they got in town. And then we just closed 2 deals last month for this very reason. People came in town because the people we met at their open house recommended us as their agent, recommended one of my team members as their agent. And that person closed 2 deals from people from out of town that came in because their family members were looking for houses for them. They met them at an open house. And you use the strategy, the script, and all those different things, and that's what's going to happen. But here's the big point on here. You might think that the information in the middle is important. Yeah, enter our raffle, free round of golf, all that's fantastic. You can get all those folks to come in, and they do show up for those big incentives. If you follow my checklist and you know there's a local country club, absolutely get them to sponsor a golf package for 4 or something like that. Absolutely. But then what you really want to focus on is that number at the bottom. Here's what most realtors don't understand. Buyers could care less about the price of the home. And being that my background was in mortgages when I started in this industry, we never talked about the price of a home. We talked about monthly payment. That was what was important to the buyer. And if they're borrowers, not buyers, because some buyers pay cash, when they're borrowing money, that's all they really think about. Principal, interest, tax, insurance, PMI or MIP, and then of course the homeowners association or condos association. All those fees make up that monthly payment. And that's what they're more concerned about. But most people that put these flyers together don't realize handing a flyer to a buyer with the price at the bottom means nothing. But who does it mean something to? It means something to the neighbors in the neighborhood. They look at that floor plan and they say, oh man, that's exactly like the one I own right now. I paid $200,000 for this home 7 years ago, and it's now worth $382,000. Maybe I will sell my home. So there's a method to the madness in everything that I do here. So if you think about it, All of these different things are what's going to drive more and more people to your open house. And like I said, at the biggest events we've had, there've been over 50 people. Another sign you can put out, which is similar to the one that says free CMA, is 100% free buyer services. A lot of people don't realize that your services are free. Put a sign in the front yard so when they're driving up, they see exactly that. Bottom line, all of this is presenting your office. In addition to that, you got the yard signs, and then you got the flyers that are going out. So these first two are yard signs. This third one is an actual flyer. And then from there, how else are you presenting your office? You got to use these big 13-foot or 15-foot flags. They're awesome. And then you look at the sandwich boards. If you have extra cash to get those, by all means, get a couple. Put signs in the yard that stand out. And I have even a small flag that sits there. Where do you think I own 2 flags or 3 flags actually, and I put them out in usually 2 or 3 different locations. I put one in the entrance of the neighborhood, and then I put a sign right next to or right beneath the flag that looks exactly like the signs I'm going to use in the neighborhood. So when they see the flag, they associate with the sign, they follow those signs until they get to this next flag. Well, if I can put one at the entrance of the neighborhood and one at the house, if I have a third one, it's usually going to go in the entrance of some major thoroughfare. So people can see that flag from a distance and then start thinking, whoa, maybe I'll attend this open house. And I only put those out the day before, but we'll get to that in the actual checklist. Here's another view from a different angle, but the bottom line is they see those flags and they see the sign. I've had people literally walk up and say to me 30 minutes before the event, I noticed all the signs and everything before. Yesterday, I noticed all these signs, and this morning when I got up this morning, I noticed these flags and these signs, and I'm not sure when I'm going to sell my house. I know I've been thinking about it for maybe a while, and it could happen in the next year or so, but I don't know when I'm going to sell it. I just know that I want you to represent me. And they come get your information, give you theirs. You add them to a drip campaign, and as long as you stay in touch with them, you have more clients added to your pipeline. But this is how it's done. Why do more people sign in? Okay, well, maybe if you put a little sign up that says, welcome, per seller request, please sign in. This will also include you in the raffle. Maybe I should do it the other way around. Please sign in so you can get ordered in get your shot at the raffle, and then the seller also requests you to sign in. People come in, and once they get in, they sign in simply because that's the first thing I ask them to do. It's not, hey, is this you ready to look at this house? You ready to put your signature on some paper? No, it's, hey, would you do me a favor and come on in and sign up for the raffle? And they come in and they see a spread like this, and the first thing on the corner of the table. I usually don't have this much stuff. This is more for show, but the first thing they're going to see is a place to sign up for the raffle. They sign up for the raffle, and one of the reasons why this technique is a little bit better than some of the other ones I've heard some guys say that they put a roster together, they put 8 signatures on the roster. It makes everyone else feel more comfortable writing their names knowing that someone else put it on there. Except the 8 names they wrote were bogus. Now, if bogus names are on that list and you're signing in and you hear about things like that, of course, you're going to be more uncomfortable. Me, I just make it more like a raffle ticket. Each page has 3 different places for someone's name. Every time they write their name, I tear it, or I tear them beforehand, let them write their name, phone number, and email, and then I start asking them little questions about what they're doing or why they're out looking for homes, and I start taking notes on whether they like this particular home and what they like, don't like, and what they might want. Little things that you write on the back of that flyer, and then I fold it on the back of that little strip of paper, fold it up, put it in a fishbowl, and enter them into a raffle. Now I have their information, and when I open it up, I can also go back and enter my notes from doing that. Now we came up with a better strategy for collecting information. Now once they fill out the roster, we basically just send them a digital questionnaire that we created from Google Forms. When you create that digital questionnaire, when you're sitting at the open house, you can spend a much more of your time building rapport, because once you get their information from signing in, it's, I already got this, and you let them know, hey, here's your phone number. I'm going to send you a text right now for a questionnaire to let me know how to best serve you and help you. In the event that this isn't the right house for you, I can show you anything and everything that's out there. And the best thing to do, you can ask them, ask them a bunch of questions, listen, interview, make it sound like you're concerned, and you should be, and then say, oh, by the way, let me send you this questionnaire so you can, reiterate what you just told me in the questionnaire. And then they do that, and you're in fantastic shape. But the main thing is to get them to sign in the minute they come in the door. And from there, if you have a lender with you, introduce them to your lender. A lot of times they'll come in and I'll say, "Are you represented by a realtor?" And they'll say, "Yep, I am." That's not the end of it. I've seen some realtors just almost walk away. That's not how it should be. They walk in. What you really want to do at that point is say, "Hey, have you been pre-qualified? You got a realtor, but what about a lender?" No, don't have a lender. Well, no, I don't have a lender. Or maybe they say, "Yeah, we do, and we have been pre-qualified." Then you say, "Well, you know what? Here's my lender, and you should do what most people do when, like, going to the doctor. They get a second opinion. And if my lender can be your lender, you owe me a Pepsi." Now, of course, they laugh and then they talk to her and they go talk to him or her and they go, "Do you think you can?" And then they give them a quick scenario and they go, "Who knows?" But do you think that your lender is going to want to come back and sponsor more open houses with you when they know that you're the person that's going to point and push people in their direction, even though you can't earn them as a client? See, these are the little things that you can do in open houses that most people don't even think to do, and why your open houses are going to be much more successful. Here's the sign-in roster, just up close. You cut it in thirds. Don't make it the small strips of paper because you want something to write on the back of. So 3 per page is about right. I cut them into thirds and then put them on top of each other. People sign in rather quickly. I just flip it over when they come in and write notes, or flip it over once they sign their information and take notes on it. But like I said, at this point, I use a digital questionnaire. It's even better. But you want them to sign in, have something for them to sign in. It actually gives them more of a feeling that, people we're very used to doing things over and over again before we're comfortable with it. So if you get them to sign documentation or write something when they first meet you, then later on down the road, if they write something again, they're much more willing to do it, like a buyer rep agreement or a listing agreement. So get them used to following your instructions by saying, "Hey, come on in and fill out this form for me." So if you don't understand the correlation, now then you'll see how this all comes together just by practicing it over and over again. With that, I'll end this video here, and when we come back on the next video, I will get into the open house script. I kind of went through most of it with you already, but there's some things I want to make sure I cover and don't miss. So stay tuned, and I'll see you on the next video.